Hey guys, this is Dr. Callahan for Algebra 2 Semester 2, Week 13, Tuesday. How are you guys doing? This is your warm-up, so pause the video and answer the following 3 questions. All right, just to put things into perspective so that way you guys know what it is that we are doing. So this week is the 12th of April, so this is week 13. Next week is going to be week 14. So on that 18th, you guys have no school. It's a professional development day. And then after that, you guys have week 15, then 16, 17, 18, 19. Week 20 is going to be the 30th, which is your last official holiday. It's Memorial Day, so it's the official kickoff for summer. And then after that, week 21, that Tuesday is your last day. They have not approved your final schedule yet, but I'm assuming it's going to be on that week 20. So the yellow highlighted portion, that is when your final weeks is kind of going to be. When they do release it, I'll let you guys know. But then that gives you guys exactly, let's see, you have all of this week. So you have 4 more days. And then you guys have next week, the week after that. So 6 more weeks until finals, and that's kind of where we are. Your grade right now needs to be at a 75% or higher. That's your safety grade. Your final is 15%. If you fail the final and you have 75 or better, you still pass the class with a 60. If you have below the safety grade of a 75% and you end up failing the final, you will end up failing this class. So that's kind of what you're aiming for, is to make sure you get to that 75% safety grade. So in case you don't pass the final, you don't fail this class. There will be a study guide for you guys as well. We're not quite there yet, but I will give you guys that study guide like 2 weeks before the final, and I will go over every single question that is on that study guide. So you don't need to worry. I have your back, and we'll make sure that you guys get study and be ready for the test. So what did you do last class? I wasn't here yesterday. So this is kind of what you were supposed to go over with the video. You guys had a bunch of empty spots over here, and you were supposed to fill that part out according to the video. And then you guys had a little activity with the dice. The video also taught you guys about the differences of inverse from composition functions. So you should have filled out the first page of this. And then the back part is where you're supposed to use the dice to kind of do the questions, the composition functions of adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. And then remember fog and then golf. And so we practice with that. And that's what you should have completed from yesterday. Now, if you were absent or you were not here for that, that's okay, because if you just go to the YouTube channel right there, it would take you directly to all of the videos. There are 58 videos. You just need to scroll down to week 13 Monday. It's a 17-minute video. Watch it and then turn that in. Tomorrow is Wednesday, so I will be grading and updating your grades. So if you have not completed the assignments or you have things you need to turn in, make sure you do so by tomorrow so that way I can update your grade. All right, so today it is Tuesday. I'm going to talk about the inverse relation and function. We're just about like a day or 2 behind. That's okay, because I feel like I need to spend a little bit more on the function operations. And so for today, it's going to be our composite function day 4. The materials you guys need is my handout. You need a die, and then also your cell phone. Actually, I don't think you need your die. No die. Just kidding. No die. Let me go back and change that. Let's see. But you do need to have a cell phone or an iPad, so no die. So just get rid of that. And first thing that you guys have is going to be a function task card. It's an assignment, but you're going to need your cell phone for the Google slide. And then the second one is a higher level thinking puzzle where you have to create a question to make the answers fit. Okay, so those are the 2 things I'm going to be working on. I'm going to have you guys come up over here and grab the paper. You're going to be turning this in for me before you guys leave, so come on up, and then also grab a highlighter. right, so the function task card is the first thing I'm going to be working on. The instruction for you guys on this one is fairly simple, and it just basically says you are going to solve 12 different function operation problem. They're a mixture of all 4 operations, and you just need to go ahead and fill out this little table right here. There are 12 questions. I'm going to help you guys get started. So with your cell phone, you need to go to this QR card or QR code to access the question itself. So I'm going to give you guys a second to access that. And again, I'm gonna help you guys out, obviously, for the first few. All right, so let's start off with number 1. So if you're at the QR code, make sure you guys get there. If you're not there yet, grab your cell phone and get to that part because you don't have any questions. We're trying to save a tree, so all your questions are on that QR code. Okay, so once you get to that QR code, you should be able to find question number 1. So for question number 1, you're going to write this on your template where it says number 1, obviously. And I'm going to go ahead and show you guys that as well. Just give me a second while I set this up. Okay. Okay. So this is question number 1 on your QR code, and this is your template, right? So it says find f of 2. So with your highlighter, well, actually, I guess you don't really need your highlighter because you don't have the question in front of you. That's okay. So you're going to find f of 2, which is going to be in that first equation. And then you're going to find g of 3, which is going to be in that second equation. And you're just going to add them together. So just show the work for that. So on first one, f of 2. Whenever you see an x right here, you guys, you're going to replace it with a 2. So like 2 to the 3rd power plus 5 times 2 squared. So with your calculator, or you could do this in your head, what is 2 times 2 times 2 3 times? 8, right? It's not 2 times 3, it's not 6. Plus 2 squared is 2 times 2, which is 4. What's 4 times 5? 20. So that's going to be 28. That's my answer for f of 2. And that's what you should write down on your first card, okay? Then I have to worry about my second part, which is g of 3. So that means whenever in the g equation I see an x, I'm going to replace that equation with a 3. So 2 times 3 plus 4 is 6 plus 4, which is 10. So I have 2 answers right now. My goal is to add the 2 together. So I'm just going to add the 2 numbers together. And my answer is going to be 38. And that's all you need to write down for number 1, task number 1. All right, so then we're going to go on to card number 2. If you guys take a look at card number 2, which is where the QR code is, number 2 is h. It's asking to find k of x minus h of x. And then if you keep going with this, it's just like a bunch of different questions right over here. So for sake of time, because I'm going to have you guys work on this a little bit, I want to make sure I go over a good wealth number of all of these different questions. So I'm going to jump over to, let's jump over to number 5 because number 5 seems a little bit more complicated. So on your template, you guys go on to number 5. I'm going to set up number 5, and then we can go over this together. Okay, so let's take a look at number 5, you guys. So for number 5, it says find f of x times g of x. And so make sure at this point you guys are on template number 5. Okay, so let's first start off with f of 5. F of 5 means that every time I look at the f equation and there's an x, I replace that x with the number 5. So in this case, it's 15 divided by 5 plus 4. Well, 15 divided by 5 is 3, right? So what's 3 plus 4? 7. And then I need to figure out what g of 2 is. So g of 2 is my second part. So my g equation, wherever I see an x, I replace it with a 2. So in this case, it's 6x, or 6 times 2, which is 12. Now, what do I do with those two answers? Well, you go back to the original equation, and do you see how it's a multiplication right there, the little dot? That means I time the two answer. And what is my answer? 12 times 7 is going to give me an 84. And that's my answer for number 5. All right, so then you're gonna go back to your task card, which is your QR code. And so we're done with number 5, and I'm gonna take a look what else I can do here. We did a multiplication. Let's see. Let's try. So I'm trying to like figure out what is a good one to pick. Let's do number 11. That one looks a little bit challenging. It's a really big number there. So yeah, let's do number 11. Actually, no, I already did a plus one. Sorry, I'm trying to think like which one should I pick? How about number 9? Yeah, let's do number 9. Okay, so for number 9, take a look at it. Okay, so this one is written a little bit differently. It's m minus n, but then there's like a 2, a negative 2 right there. Okay, so it looks a little bit weird because there are 2 different steps. This is the first step, which is to find m minus n, and then your second step is to plug in the negative 2. Plug in negative 2. That's your second step. So let's go ahead and start with the first step. Okay, m minus n. Well, your m is just 6x squared plus 3x minus 1 minus n. Minus n means that everything in n has to be opposite sign because you're subtracting everything. So that positive 2x squared is a negative 2x squared, and that positive 7 is a negative 7. And I'm just going to write it up and down. And then once you have it this way, what you're going to do is you're going to just subtract it. So subtract the parts in the yellow, subtract the parts in the green, and the part that is right there by itself in orange, there's nothing to subtract, so you just bring it down. So 4x squared plus 3x minus 8. So this right here is the first part, which is m minus n, okay? So first part, check, done. Your second part is -2. So what that means is wherever you see an x right here, you're going to replace that with a -2. So you have 4 times -2 squared plus 3 times -2 minus 8. So questions like number 9, there are 2 parts, okay? So then let's go ahead and simplify this. Orders of operation says that you have to multiply and do the exponent first. So -2 times -2 is a 4. 4 times 4 is going to give you a 16. 3 times -2 is a -6 minus 8. So then with your calculator, because you could use a calculator on your test, what's 16 minus 6? That's 10. What's 10 minus 8? 2. And that's your final answer. All right, so let's go back over here again to the original, which I actually can't find. Hold on a second. Let me see what happened to it. To the original over here. So we went over 3 different questions. You guys have 12 total. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of time in class to go ahead and work on these questions on your own. I'm going to go back to over here. And so you just need to now go ahead and fill in the remaining 9 squares. I'm going to give you guys about 10, 15 minutes in class, and then we'll go on to the second part of this. Okay. So for those of you guys on Zoom, go ahead and do that as we're. What if you guys ask for number 7? And that's a really good question. It's a division one. So for this one, it's just a of x. So that's -2x plus 5 divided by b of x, which is 3x plus 5. I hate to tell you, but there's nothing that you can do. I mean, like, you're literally just kind of stuck right there. There is really nothing that you can do. So I believe this is just going to be your answer. But I do have like a page for you guys to check your answers. And so I'm going to share that with you. So for number 7, yeah, do you see the answer for number 7 is just in red, -2x plus 5 over 3x plus 5. Nothing changes. If it was like in a polynomial, I could probably go to like long division, you know what I mean? But in this case, there's really nothing that you can do. So I feel like you guys have tried this long enough that I'm willing to share the answer with you guys as well. So for number 7, it's just -2x plus 5 over 3x plus 5. So if you guys are still working on it, that's awesome. You still have about 6 more minutes before I like flip this over to the next part of this. So keep working on this, but I'm gonna give you guys a second QR code. And that second QR code is going to give you guys the QR code for the answers. So this is a second QR code. For those of you guys on Zoom, you should see that as well. And then don't just copy down the answers, which I don't think is like what you should do anyways, because ultimately you guys have a final and you have to know how to do this. But as you're working through the problem, if you want to check your answers, that's in red, feel free to do that. Okay, we have 6 more minutes. right, you guys, do you guys have any questions on any of the remaining 12 questions that you guys were going over? Anyone that stick up to you that you're like, I still need to go over the answers with Callahan? Any questions? Questions at all? All right, so then let's go on to the back side of this. Okay, so you should be done with that. So moving on to the back side of this, so take a look at this. This is the one where you're going to go ahead and basically create the question to match the answer. So you're going to be a little bit creative with this one. So essentially, you're just creating, create the questions to match the answers. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at case number 1. So read case number 1. All right, so for case number 1, it says f of x is defined as 3x squared minus 2. Determine any possible function for each case below. So here, f plus g equals 2x squared minus 1. What has to be g? So that way the answer is 2x squared minus 1. Now you know your f is going to be 3x squared minus 2. Your g, which I don't know what it is, I'm just going to draw a line right there. But you know that your answer has to equal to 2x squared minus 1, okay? So your goal right now is to figure out, what can my g be? Well, you're gonna have to work backwards. So I'm like, all right, well, you're adding them, right? And so 3x squared plus what number gives me a 2x squared? Well, that means it has to be a negative 1x squared, right? That has to be it. Then negative 2x plus what number gives me a negative 1? Well, I would think that has to be a positive 1, right? So what is your possible g of x answer? It has to be a negative x squared plus 1. So do you see how you're working backwards to get to the correct answer? Yeah, it's a little bit weird. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so then let's go ahead and give the second case a try. So case number 2. So this one is f minus h of 3 equals 8. All right, so this is going to be a little bit weird. F again is equal to 3x squared minus 2. H is, I don't know what H is, but what I do know is that in this situation, it's a minus. So I'm going to put a minus right there, and whatever H is going to be, I have to distribute that minus, okay? And so what can H be? But it also has to be a 3. Do you see the 3 right here? Okay, so let's plug in the 3. If I plug in the 3 here, 3 squared, so 3 times 3 squared minus 2. 3 squared is 9. 9 times 3 is a 27. 27 minus 2 is going to give me a 25, okay? I don't know what my H is, so I'm going to put the parenthesis right there, but I know that my answer have to equal a 3, okay? So 25 minus what gives me a 3? I don't know about you, but I think it has to be a 22, which means whatever equation I put right there, it has to equal a 22 after I put the 3 in there. Okay, so what are some of the possible ways that I can do this? You can be creative, you can do whatever you want. I could try like 2x. So I know that 2 times 3 is a 6. So what do I need to do to get to a 22? Well, 6 plus what gives me a 22? Let's see, 6 plus 16 plus 16. gives me a 22. So then what is a possible h of x? A possible h of x is 2x plus 16. I know it's crazy, right? But you have to work like backwards and be creative to get to your answer. I know it's a little bit challenging and daunting. Yeah. All right, so let's try another one. Okay, so we finished case 1 and case 2. I'm gonna just jump in and maybe try case 4 and 5. So let's try that one. Okay. So let's take a look at case 4. So for case 4, it's k divided by f. Well, f is 3x squared minus 2. So I have a 3x squared minus 2. And then my answer has to be a negative 1 over 2. And you're like, okay, so what possible k number on top can it be to end up with a negative 1 over 2? If I put a 3x squared minus 2 on top, that will give me a 1, right? So then how do I make it a 2 on the bottom? So to get a 2 over here, it don't have to be a negative 2. So it has to be a negative on top because it's a negative 1 over 2. This will just give me a negative 1. So to make that into a 2, I would have to maybe multiply that by a 4. Oh, I could actually just put a 1/2 here, 1 over 2 like that. Yeah, I could put a 1/2 there because then that'll cancel. I'll be left with negative 1 over half. So your k is just a negative 1 over 2, 3x squared minus 2. Because if you look at this part right here, that'll cancel. And then what are you left with? Right there, which matches your answer right there. So you just have to be creative with this one. I mean, these are not easy necessarily, but I'm like, you know, it's good practice. Let's take a look at case number 5. FOMX. So this is saying f of m of x is equal to 3x to the 6 minus 2. And again, f is 3x squared minus 2. Because that's what's given to you guys. So f is 3x squared minus 2. So what can m of x be? So that's the question. What is this going to be for me to plug into the x here to make it 3x to the 6 minus 2? So think about it, you guys. What do I plug in here for x to make it into a 3x to the 6? Well, if I match it, I'm like, they both have 3. So how do I get from an x squared to an x to the 6? I don't know, maybe times it by 3, right? Like to the 3rd power. So what if I have x to the 3rd power in there for m of x? And I'm not sure if it's going to work, but let's give it a try. So if m of x equals x to the 3rd, then f of x to the 3rd is going to equal to, and again, every time you have an x, you replace with x to the 3rd, 3 times x to the 3rd squared minus 2. Well, 3 times 2 is 6 minus 2. Does that equal to the answer? Yes, it does. So what is your possible m of x? It's x to the third. I know the thinking of this is kind of crazy because you're literally working like it's a really high, level of thinking. It's a depth of knowledge that's pretty high. And you're just literally using the answer to work backwards to create one of the questions. So now that we finished case 1, 2, and we also finished, whoops, oh my gosh, what did I just do? Hold on a second. Oh, there you go. Okay, sorry about that. So now that we finished questions 1, 2, and then 4, 5, I'm gonna have you guys go ahead and give it a try for questions number 3 and 6. Okay, so you have 2 to kind of try on your own, and that'll be it. So for those of you guys on Zoom, make sure you guys try that as well, and that will be your ending. So your exit ticket today is you guys go ahead and create a composite function somewhere on your guided notes, and that will be it. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Take care.